Hare Krishna. This is Krishnendu Das from Successful Vaishnavas, getting out in the fresh air on an autumn morning, or actually afternoon now. Finally getting to do one of these in the daytime. The last couple have been late at night. So today's topic is, are you ashamed to be known as a Hare Krishna? Are you afraid to go out in public and represent yourself as a Hare Krishna? Are you afraid to wear Hare Krishna clothes? And are you afraid to wear tilak? This is the topic. And I think that many times with the Hare Krishna movement as it is now, most devotees go to work and have different jobs. And so naturally we want to fit in and we don't want to feel strange. And, previously when the Hare Krishna movement started, everybody that joined the movement, they lived in the temple. And so that was the association that everybody had. And so naturally, devotees tended to wear, dhoti, kurta, sari, those kind of clothes. And they would wear it everywhere. So I got the idea from this. We had a program last Saturday, which was a really nice program where we were discussing nectar of instruction. And one of the devotees there was saying how she went to the fruit shop and two people came and said to her, "Oh, you're wearing a sari, why is that?" And she had the opportunity, to preach about Krishna consciousness. So I actually made a little picture with some words along the top, which you'll see on the Successful Vaishnavas page if you have a look. Basically saying, spot the Hare Krishna, and it just shows people walking down the street, just regular people, all the same. And this is the thing, that if devotees don't dress as, excuse the sun, if devotees don't dress in their Hare Krishna clothes, then no one will know that we exist. And if people don't know that we exist, they won't take us seriously. That's how I think. What triggered these thoughts is I was listening to a book called Contagious. I think it's called How Ideas Take Off. It's basically looking at what makes something go viral. What makes what makes people want to share something. And so one of the really important points that it makes is social proof. Social proof is basically, if everybody else is doing it, then we tend to want to do it. And if nobody else is doing it, then we don't want to be the first one. This is the natural tendency. So it gave the example of how, for example, in Nancy Reagan's era in the 80s, they had this whole campaign called Just Say No, which the idea was they wanted to, you're probably going to have someone ask you, do you want to take drugs? And these videos were training the kids to just say no. So on the video it would have a kid walking out of his house and someone opens the door and says, "Hey man, you want to smoke some pot?" And then the kid says, "No thanks." And he just walks off, and then someone else down the road says, "Hey, you want to take some cocaine?" or whatever. And he goes, "No." And it shows all these different people saying no to drugs. And so they did studies about the effectiveness of this campaign, and they found that from this campaign, drug use went up. And the explanation was that, the normal kid doesn't know anything about drugs. But when they see all these commercials saying, "Oh, don't take drugs. If your friends tell you to take drugs, don't take drugs," then you'll naturally start to think, "Well, I didn't know my friends were taking drugs. Well, maybe I should find out a bit more about this." And that people actually become interested in drugs and think of taking it because they think that so many people are doing it. There's been many psychological studies that prove this point, that if we emphasize, excuse my collar, if we emphasize what we don't want, people do more of what we don't want. And if we emphasize what we do want, there's that dog again. Can you believe it? Always on cue, whether it's time to have a nap or time to do a Facebook Live view, just starts on barking. Okay, let's go around the corner and maybe it'll be a bit quieter. First of all, the rubbish truck went past and now the dog's barking, so we'll just come around here where hopefully it'll be a little bit more peaceful. Or anyway, I can focus a bit better. Alrighty, so this idea of social proof, that what we think everybody else is doing is what we tend to do. Just like the restaurant which has got the biggest line is the one that people think must be better, and therefore that's the one that people want to eat at. They don't want to go to the one that's got nobody lined up there. They take the evidence that a lot of people are doing it to think that, well, maybe it's a good idea. I'll keep going around the back of the house. It looks a little bit better. Whoa, it's quite sunny here. See if this works out better. Maybe I'll squint like crazy. Whoa, okay, let's go in the shade. There we go, that's going to have to do for today. So, getting back to the point, not about dogs and all that, but about social proof. So I think that as devotees, unless we're seen in the public, people won't know we exist. And just imagine if every devotee were to go to work or to go out in the streets always wearing the devotee clothes, you know, the dhoti and the kurta. Just imagine the impact that it would have on people. People would think, wow, there's a lot of these Hare Krishna people around. And just to think of the impact that would have. Whereas nowadays, I feel that a lot of devotees are afraid to, you know, dress in the, you know, classic Hare Krishna clothes. And so they, people don't know that we exist. And they think, when they see a Hare Krishna, they think, he's a weirdo, right? So I think that it would be really awesome if, you know, devotees went out more in their devotee clothes and represented Prabhupada and Krishna. There's a quote that I've just posted on Facebook, I think, again in the Successful Vaishnavas page, where Prabhupada is being asked, why do you wear these strange clothes? People in America, especially in New York, think that you're weird. And Prabhupada said, oh, well, that's your attention. You can see how Prabhupada is so expert in seeing from the point of view of marketing that when you stand out, then you draw attention to yourself and it brings attention to your message. Expert marketing. And so again, this principle of marketing, if we can be visible and then show that there's a lot of us, it'll have a really powerful impact. You know, conversely, because we're not visible at the moment, it keeps out of sight. You know, just like with these people that we're trying to stop people from taking drugs by telling them don't take drugs, and if someone tells you, if your friends tell you to take drugs, don't do it, you know, you're actually perpetuating it. So rather, what they needed to do in the case of the drugs is just don't even mention it. Act like it doesn't even exist. And I think that's a much better strategy. But if we as devotees are not visible, and we're not in the public eye, then people are not going to think about us. People are going to think that we're a very small minority in a strange group. And because we're so visible, you know, if we wear, you know, devotee clothes, meaning Hare Krishna clothes, dhoti, kurta,